This season we've neglected the custom cars a little bit too much, so this week we're at Billing Aquadrome. I am so excited. This is my first custom show. I haven't a clue what these cars are all about, and this is just a little bit of what you can expect. For a complete novice like myself, I want to find out how I can get into this hot rodding scene. So I'm with Terry Harris from Classic Fabrications. Terry, how do I get into this scene?
Well, first off, you decide what sort of vehicle you want to build. We're here to help in the build side of the hot rodding game, if you want to call it that. Here today, there's obviously quite a good selection of different types of vehicles. We as a company feel that we offer a good choice of vehicles. Come along to us, have a look at what we've got, and then you can pick a body style first, be it the Roadster as you see here.
Have you guys designed these styles?
No, these styles are primarily original steel cars from America, and that we've gone into the reproduction business to actually make them available now for everyday hot rod use.
Do I build it or do you guys build it?
There's two options. We can do it for you. Obviously it's much more expensive because it's a much more labour intensive process, but if you do it yourself, we can help with literally all the components. Those that we don't produce or manufacture ourselves are bought in from America by other companies who specialise in this business.
So how are kit cars and hot rod cars different?
The kit car is actually made as a price package, and a very competitively priced package, and then the options are very limited down to offer it for that. And the kit car builder can sort of build it over a few weeks if he puts in a lot of hours, and actually have it on the road with just mere spanners, shall we say, and screwdrivers. With the hot rod scene, it's slightly more complicated, obviously, because it's being tailor-made to that individual customer. So bracketry and engines and options are far greater.
How much is this sort of car going to burn a hole in my pocket?
That is really depending on how far you want to go with it in the way how long is a piece of string. There is a kick-off price, obviously. We can get you rolling, shall we say, as we call it, rolling chassis, body, and ready to start putting your engine in for about £4,000. But then it goes on to, depending on your specification of engine, axles and wheels. Wheels and tyres are so many options that are in from the States, and all different prices.
Your cars are based on classic styles. Do you get a bit of needle from the owners of classic cars?
There has been a certain amount of feedback from them, but to be quite fair to the hot rodding game, really, a lot of the cars they pick, the classic car world doesn't actually want, and they don't like them. They're not attractive cars or to put lots of money into, like a Jaguar.
What, like?
Like a Jaguar, like an Aston Martin or something like that. And the hot rodder has never, to my knowledge, done one. So the cars that they pick, which is like the old full pops, which nobody really wants as a traditional old car, they are actually saving it. So I can't see why there should be any sort of malice towards these people.
You guys are so kind.
I know, we save them from the scrap yards. Nobody else wants them, and the hot rodders do. So good luck to the lads, that's what I say.
Who drives these sorts of the hot rod cars?
I think those, you would have to interview the people out here today and get a cross-section of what they're like.
Are they everyday out and about cars, out and about the town?
Some people use them as everyday cars, and some of them are very passionate about them.
Hey look, are you brave enough, Paul Kennedy? Are you brave enough to be interviewed by us at Granada Men and Motors Kits and Cruisin? Because when you've been interviewed before, things have gone wrong, Paul, haven't they?
Yeah, hang on, there's nothing behind me. I'm safe. Yeah,
What's happened before then when you've been interviewed?
Last time I got interviewed it was here at Billing, and about half an hour after I got interviewed, 55 Chevy run right up the back of me van.
And bad damage?
Yeah, about $2,000 worth of damage.
Really?
Yeah. Put a couple of band-aids on it, and it's back to normal now.
But something else has happened to you as well, though, didn't it?
Yeah, I was working on the car one day in the garage, had a bit of a fuel blockage, and the car's an ex-race car, drag racing car, and so I've got two big fuel pumps underneath there, and one of them burst in the garage, and fuel up the walls, the garage went on fire, the car went on fire, I went on fire, so it was a bit of a moment, you know.
Wow. Something I've always wanted to ask you, because this car, you just said it is an ex-drag racing car. It's a lot of history with this machine. Do you feel, I don't know if this is the right way to describe it, do you feel kind of honoured to own it?
Oh, certainly, yeah. I mean, when I first got the car, it had a completely different paint job on it as well.
Yeah.
And I wanted it back to the paint job it's got now, which is the original, what everybody remembers it running as.
Yeah.
Mr. Talker, it was called.
That's
then,
right, yeah. Do you still call it Mr. Talker? I mean,
Yeah.
I still know it as Mr. Talker, you know.
Yeah, oh, a lot of people do, yeah. Everybody calls it Mr. Talker, yeah.
So what's underneath the hood? Just tell us.
It's a 454 big block Chevy. It's had work done on it. It's 8 litres. It's 500 brake horsepower. And I've got another 300 horsepower in the nitrous kit in the back.
The thing that amazes me, Paul, I've got to tell you, Fords and vans like this, panel vans, I used to drive when I first started driving in the 60s, and they didn't handle very good then. And that was with about 8 horsepower. You're talking about 500 horsepower. I mean, what does this handle like?
Yeah, it's good. Obviously, you got to know its limits. You know, you don't go racing down backcountry lanes. Not that I race with it.
Of course not.
But you know, you get to know the car's limits, what it can do and what it can't do. It's pretty well balanced because the engine is sat right back and down. You know, so it was really well built. You know.
What's your plans for Mr. Talker then? I mean, are you intending to pass it on to someone in your family? Because really, you've got hot rodding heritage here.
Well, to be honest with you, I've got the car up for sale at the moment.
Have you?
And my last Fortin van that I had, a grey one, I took that to America and went to a few shows over there, and I ended up selling the car over there. So, I mean, if I can't sell it here, I might repeat it again. I'd love it to stay in this country because of the history.
Yeah.
But, you know, you got to do what you got to do, haven't you? You know.
Well, I wish you luck, but I've got to tell you, seriously, if it was down to me, I would hope that this man will be able to keep this car in this country somehow, because this has got.
This weekend.
Have you?
Oh, certainly have.
Oh,
so
well,
you know.
Hey, come on, let's go to the pub on the strength of that. We'll see you all later. Bye.
It's a sad day here today. I have realised that I've been deprived as a child. My childhood was not as beautiful as I thought it was. Mum and Dad, it's your fault. And the reason why is Tot Rod Racing. And here we have John, who's going to tell us a bit about it.
Hey, Mel. Oh, deprived childhood. I'm so sad for you. Tot Rod Racing is what it's all about here at Billing. But
what is it?
Well, you and I are just a little bit too big now, because we should have done this when we were little. That's about it, about that high. It's to bring the children into hot rodding, basically. And you should see some of the creations that we've got here today. Little 30s Ford Roadsters, Corvettes, you name it, we've got them all here, but in miniature scale.
Can't we have a go?
Oh, I don't think they'll let us. We could ask, because
Well,
we're only small, aren't we? After all. Wow, yo! Oh, this is good. Look at that wide wheelbase on that car. He's hunched over the wheel. My goodness me, hangs on the brake, spins it round at the end.
What's going on over there in that little tent?
Oh, that's called
Scrounging?
No, it's not scrounging, my darling. It's scrutineering. This is where our scrutineering teams check to make sure that the vehicles are perfectly safe for the kids to drive. I mean,
No James Bond things added to the vehicle.
When reading the instructions for this particular event, the kids are told that they're not allowed to come along here with Honda Fireblade engines or nitrous oxide injection. Basically, a lot of these little machines have lawnmower engines in, Briggs & Stratton lawnmower engines, 5 horsepower jobbies. And the cars are all constructed by mums and dads for the kids to drive. I mean, I'm looking forward to...
Did you hear that, Mum and Dad?
You didn't get one, did you? But I'm looking forward to when my little girl grows up and I can have one for her. There are 1 or 2 for sale here as well, so...
If I give you a £5, will you arrange a lift for me in one of them?
I'm going to try and do that for you, Mel. I mean, you're lucky because although you're quite tall, you're quite light. So I think that you're going to be in for a ride.
This is looking good. Oh, really winding up at the top there. Beautifully controlled. Brake lights as well. Oh, God help us all.
John?
Yes.
Is there seriously a needle match between these 5-year-old kids?
Well, they're not all 5. There's some of them a little bit older than that, but certainly families, Mel. You know what it's like inside families? Brothers and sisters and that sort of thing. Brothers always think they're better than the sisters, and sisters naturally think they're better than the brothers. So we have one family here, the Stafford family, who've got...
Who are the Stafford family?
Well, Daddy Pete is very heavily involved in the custom and hot rod world in the UK, and he's got a little Tot Rod that his son and daughter drive, and of course, between the sibling rivalry, it's quite humongous. So
who have you got your money on?
On the girl, of course, on the girl. Girls are the greatest drivers.
She's put £6 on that bet, you know.
Yeah, well, your money's well founded, I think.
Thank you, John.
Okay.
Have a good one.
Yeah, bye then, Mel. How do you feel? It was really closely contested, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Comfortable with the win?
Yeah.
Who does all the work on your car?
My dad.
And is he really clever, I would say? It's a lovely car. Describe it to me. What is it?
Ford Model A pickup.
And did you choose it or did Dad choose it for you?
My dad chose it for me.
Do you know what engine you've got in it?
Honda 5.0, I think it is.
Is it? So, nice little tribute to Honda and Ford then.
Yeah.
Well done, Kyle. Well done. Congratulations.
I'm finally going to get a go to fulfil my dream, but don't go... No, not too fast, sweetheart. No! Watch that dog! She's a complete little daredevil. What a little monkey.
Five years before the Beatles had their first hit record, 4 brothers decided to go into the car industry. Bob, Ivor, Trevor and Doug Walklet named their cars after an old girlfriend of Bob's. Ginetta is that name. 40 years later, 34 individual, separately identifiable models, and you have one of the great stories of the car industry. Ginetta's first car, the G2, wasn't a great commercial success. It looked like a Lotus for a start, so it didn't really help the job. But then they brought this out. This is a G4. This is a 1966 car. The production started in 62. Simple car, space frame chassis, fiberglass body. Could be had with a hard top, or it could be convertible, or both. 1500cc Ford engines and 4-speed gearboxes, latterly cross-flow engines, powered the car, which was very, very light, great racing successes. They also brought out in the early 80s a thing called the G4 Series 4, which was a bit wider, a bit longer and a bit heavier, but it didn't sell. But the real crown jewel in the Ginetta crown, as they say, is this, the Ginetta G12. Now, 1966, and look at this for a shape. Totally modern, totally up to date. A car built solely and specifically for GT racing. True mid-engine specification, twin cam engine in the back here, 1622 cc's, BRM this one's got. 5-speed transaxle in the back there. Lightweight construction, 603 kilos, only 603 kilos, in a lightweight space frame construction, minimalist but very, very beautiful. Fiberglass body shell, and you have the G12. Production went from 1966 to 1967 when a company called Chevron came along and wiped the floor with them, with something much, much better and much, much quicker. Strange little feature down here. See this bulge in the bonnet? This was for a spare tyre, spare wheel and tyre. It had to be there to comply with the regs. They were daft regs and nobody ran with it, but unfortunately the cars went a bit light at high speed. Still do apparently. But Ginetta needed to make some money, round about 67. So what they did, they thought, right, we'll make a car that the public will really like. And they did. So they built this, the G15. Little 2-seat coupe, very original, sweet shape. They sold 800 of these, well that's the official figure, and it's pretty much to be believed. Again, simplicity. Keynote of all Ginettas is simplicity. Simple platform chassis, steel tubing, square shapes, kicks up at the back and ends up here with, of all things, a Hillman imp engine, 998cc Coventry Climax modified engine. Not a lot of brake horsepower, but enough to power it at some very, very respectable speeds. Little 4-speed gearbox in there. This one's been modified, but overall, as you can see, it's a sweet shape. Just a nice little coupe. Lots of nice touches on these cars. Beautifully integrated bumper down there, look at that. See these are mini window catches. MGB, that's come off. Morris Ital if you like. Look again here around the front. Look at this nice wraparound bumper. Look at these lights push back, comply with type approval in actual fact, and it's high enough. The job's proper. Plenty of boot space in there. You could use this every day. Most people who've got them do use them every day. No problem again inside. It's not as cramped as the old G4 over there. Plenty of room in there, plenty of leg room, proper heating and ventilation system. You can't go wrong. So they made money. 800 of these cars, made them a few quid. But when you're Ginetta, you want to go racing. And if you're going to go racing, you've got to be out a single seater, haven't you? Well, they did. And we're lucky enough today to have one of only 2 surviving cars from the era when Ginetta went single seat racing. This is a G17. There should be a G16 sat here, but nobody seems to know what it really looked like. So we come to this, the G17. Desperately rare car. Again, simplicity with Ginetta, their hallmark, their trademark. Simple suspension, simple space frame chassis. Few nice little technical innovations, not bad at all. However, they only made 4, and 2 of those are actually called Ginetta G18s and had Ford engines. This one, 998cc's to get under the 1000cc Formula 4 rule at the time for the series 1969, I think it was. Very, very simple. Get your Hillman imp engine, get your Hillman imp transaxle, fit all these bits at the back here nice, Rotaflex couplings as used by Lotus, simple suspension, 4-wheel disc brakes, light, manageable and quick. Sadly, it didn't work that well. Nowadays the cars, well both cars that they know of, are only used for sprints and hill climbs. This one's beautifully preserved. G18s, nobody knows whether there are any, but they were fitted with Ford engines, the cross-flow Ford, and became what is now known as Formula Ford all the way through. It used to be called Formula Ford 1600. Again, as I say, only 4 cars made, but really sweet, and a great historical piece. Rarity's good. However, we're back again with commercial rearing its ugly head, and Ginetta had to make another car, something to make money. This time they made what is arguably the best Ginetta, certainly in my opinion, the G21. Look at this for a car. It's proper, it's production, it's type approved. Ginetta sold a lot of these cars. Again, a simple chassis, 1725 Sunbeam Rapier whole bay engine. Not a bad little engine in actual fact, bit thirsty. Delorto carburetors, they were very good but they went out of tune. But look at this car, acres of space. It's a true four-seater. Okay, you've got to be a bit small to get in the back, but you can go anywhere in this. It's just beautifully simple and at the same time practical. It's got all sorts of nice touches. Look at this little recess here in this boot catch. It's just superb. Recognise these? Hillman Imp bonnet hinges. Knockout. Just look at all this gear around here. Again, the simplicity of this wrap round bumper. These nicely recessed lights, well out of the way. Look at that lovely little grille there with the washers in there. Bulge for the carburetors. It's sweet, sweet, sweet all the way through, whichever way you care to look at it. And it still looks modern today. I think it's just glorious, and I would really like one. But they're getting rarer, and they're getting harder to find parts for. But the club will always help you. But it's just a happening car, and it was dead right for the time, and it's dead right today. So there you have it. You've seen 5 cars today, which to be honest hardly scratches the surface of the Ginetta story. 34 model names, 40 years continuous production. Where, you might ask, is the G27, the 32, the 28, the 25, the GRS Tour even? I don't know, maybe we could find a bit more space in another programme for them.
And that's it for the day. We're all packing up after an amazing day. I really loved those Tot Car Racing, brilliant. And next week it's back to usual on Kits and Cruising.
Next week on Kits and Cruising, Richard Hammond celebrates his 21st birthday and we start a brand new project build with Penn Roberts.